The November rain pounded against the cracked windshield of Letitia Morgan's 2008 Honda Civic as she navigated through the congested streets of Manhattan. The wipers squeaked with each swipe, barely keeping up with the downpour. "Mom, are we going to make it?" Amara asked from the passenger seat, clutching the tickets to her chest. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the anxiety she was trying to hide. Letitia glanced at the dashboard clock. 6:42 p.m. The show started at 7 o'clock. "We'll make it, baby. Don't you worry," she said with more confidence than she felt. At 34, Letitia's face already carried the fine lines of someone who had weathered more storms than most. Working as a hospital orderly during the day, and a waitress 4 nights a week left little time for rest. But tonight was different. Tonight was for Amara. "You know, Mr. Washington started out just like you," Letitia said, trying to distract her daughter from the traffic crawling ahead of them. No connections, no family in the business. Just raw talent and determination. Amara nodded, her eyes bright with admiration. "That's why I need to see him perform live, Mom. Not just on screen. I need to see how he commands the stage." Letitia smiled, remembering how Amara had started performing living room plays at age 6, recruiting her younger siblings as reluctant co-stars. Now at 15, she was the star of her high school drama club, with a natural talent that even her teachers said was exceptional. The tickets had cost Letitia $248, money she'd scraped together over 3 months, skipping lunches and picking up extra shifts. Money that should have gone toward their overdue electric bill, or the growing stack of medical bills from when her youngest, Marcus, had pneumonia last winter. As they approached 45th Street, the car made a strange chugging sound, followed by a series of violent jerks. "No, no, no," Letitia muttered, steering toward the curb as the engine sputtered and died. "Not tonight." She turned the key desperately, but the engine only clicked in response. Rain hammered the roof as if mocking their predicament. "Mom!" Amara's voice was small. Letitia closed her eyes briefly, then turned to her daughter with renewed determination. "Grab your umbrella. We're 3 blocks away. We're going to run." They abandoned the car and dashed through the rain, dodging pedestrians and puddles. Letitia's uniform shoes, not meant for running, slipped on the wet pavement, sending her crashing to her knees at one point. But she got up, ignoring the tear in her only pair of good slacks and the stinging pain. By the time they reached the Imperial Theater's grand facade, they were soaked despite the umbrella. Letitia's carefully styled hair was plastered to her face, and Amara's special outfit, a second-hand dress she'd altered herself, clung to her slender frame. The ornate lobby clock showed 7:12 p.m. "I'm sorry," said the attendant at the door, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses. "We can't seat anyone once the performance has begun. House rules." "Please," Letitia pleaded, her voice cracking. "We had car trouble. We have tickets. Right here." She fumbled with her wet purse, producing the slightly damp tickets. The attendant's expression remained unmoved. "I'm sorry, but rules are rules. The show has already started. It would disturb the other patrons and the performers." Letitia felt something break inside her. 3 months of sacrifice, of telling her other children they couldn't afford new school supplies or the birthday party they wanted. All for nothing. "Mom, it's okay," Amara whispered, though her eyes betrayed her disappointment. "No, it's not okay," Letitia said, louder than she intended. Several people in the lobby turned to look. "My daughter has dreamed of this night for years. She wants to be an actress because of Denzel Washington. I worked double shifts for months to afford these tickets." Her voice echoed in the high-ceilinged lobby, embarrassing Amara, who tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Ma'am, please lower your voice," the attendant said sternly. But Letitia was beyond caring about decorum. "We came through a storm. My car broke down. We ran here in the rain. Please, just this once, Can't you make an exception? As the security guard approached, a woman in an elegant black pantsuit emerged from a side door. "What seems to be the problem here?" she asked, her voice carrying the authority of someone used to being in charge. "Diane Miller, house manager." She introduced herself with a quick, assessing glance at Letitia and Amara's bedraggled appearance. Before the attendant could speak, Letitia stepped forward. "My daughter and I have tickets for tonight's show. We had car trouble and arrived just a few minutes late. Please, this night means everything to my daughter." Diane's expression softened slightly as she noticed Amara, who stood tall despite her wet clothes, dignity intact even as tears threatened to spill. "Why is this show so important to you?" Diane asked Amara directly. Amara swallowed hard. "Mr. Washington made me believe someone like me could make it. In my neighborhood, people don't become actors. They don't even dream of it. But when I saw him in Fences, I knew what I was meant to do with my life." Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. "I've read every play he's ever performed. I've practiced his monologues in front of my mirror for years." The lobby had grown quiet, other theatergoers pausing to listen. Diane seemed to be considering something. She glanced at her watch, then back at Amara. "Wait here," she said finally, and disappeared through the side door. Letitia and Amara exchanged a hopeful glance, afraid to believe their luck might be turning. 5 minutes later, Diane returned with an usher. "Follow Maurice. He'll seat you during the next scene transition. It should only be about 10 minutes. "Thank you," Letitia whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." As they moved to follow Maurice to a waiting area, Diane added, "And after the show, stay in your seats. Someone will come for you." Letitia nodded, too overcome to speak, while Amara whispered another thank you, her eyes shining with renewed hope. In the quiet waiting area, Amara squeezed her mother's hand. "No matter what happens next, Mom, thank you for fighting for me. Always." Letitia pulled her daughter close, the smell of rain in her hair. "Always, baby, always." Little did they know that their night of disappointment was about to transform into something neither of them could have imagined. Maurice led Letitia and Amara to their seats during a brief blackout between scenes. Despite being in the back row of the orchestra section, Amara leaned forward, completely entranced by Denzel Washington's commanding presence on stage. "He's even better in person," she whispered to her mother, eyes never leaving the stage. Letitia watched her daughter more than the play, savoring the wonder on Amara's face. When the final curtain fell and thunderous applause filled the theater, Maurice appeared beside them. "Ms. Miller asked me to bring you backstage," he said quietly. Amara's eyes widened. "Backstage? Really?" They followed Maurice through a side door and down a narrow hallway bustling with crew members. Diane Miller met them at a door marked Green Room. "Wait here," she instructed with a small smile. "Someone wants to meet you." 5 minutes later, the door opened and Denzel Washington himself walked in, still in partial costume, a towel around his neck. "So you're the young lady who braved the storm to see our show," he said warmly. Amara froze, unable to speak. "I heard about your car breaking down," he continued. "That's dedication, Mr. Washington," Letitia began. "I can't tell you what this means to—" "Please call me Denzel," he interrupted gently. "And you must be Amara's mother." "Letitia," she managed, amazed he knew her daughter's name. Turning to Amara, he asked, "So I hear you want to be an actress?" Finding her voice at last, Amara nodded. "More than anything, sir." "Well, talent needs nurturing," Denzel said thoughtfully. "Are you in any programs?" "Just school plays," Amara replied. "We can't really afford." "I understand," he said, something shifting in his expression. "You know, I was lucky enough to have a boys and girls club scholarship that changed my life. Have you heard of the Young Artists program at Lincoln Center?" Amara nodded. "It's one of the best in the country, but..." They have full scholarships available, he said. I happen to know the director. Letitia felt her knees weaken. Mr. Washington, Denzel, that's incredibly generous, but it's not charity, he said firmly. It's investment in talent. My assistant will take your information, and we'll arrange an audition. Talent shouldn't go to waste because of car trouble or financial circumstances. Tears welled in Letitia's eyes. I don't know what to say. Say you'll bring her to the audition, he replied simply. And Amara, remember that every great actor has to be willing to stand in the rain sometimes. As they exchanged information with his assistant, Denzel added, one more thing. There's a car service waiting to take you home. Your Honda is being towed to Mike's Auto on 39th. Tell them you're a friend of mine. They'll take care of it. When they finally left the theater, Amara was clutching a signed playbill and something even more valuable, hope. In the back of the luxury sedan, Letitia held her daughter close. See what happens when you don't give up? Mom, Amara whispered. Do you think this is really happening? Yes, baby, Letitia said, watching the rain-slick streets of New York slide by. Sometimes hope comes when you're soaking wet and at your lowest. The car glided through the night, carrying them home with dreams bigger than the ones they'd arrived with. 6 months later, the spring sun streamed through the windows of Lincoln Center's rehearsal studio. Amara stood center stage, delivering the final lines of her monologue to a small audience of fellow students and instructors. And so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. As she finished, a moment of silence hung in the air before applause erupted. Her instructor, Ms. Reynolds, approached with a wide smile. That was exceptional, Amara. Your progress these past months has been remarkable. Letitia watched from the back row, dressed in her hospital scrubs. She'd come straight from her day's shift. Pride swelled in her chest as she observed her daughter accepting feedback with the poise of a professional. After class, they walked together through the plaza outside Lincoln Center. There's something I need to tell you, Letitia said, stopping by the fountain. I got the promotion at the hospital, assistant department coordinator. Mom, that's amazing. Amara hugged her tightly. Better hours? And better pay, Letitia nodded. No more night shifts at the restaurant. I can be home for Marcus and Zoe in the evenings. What she didn't mention was how Denzel's connections had extended beyond Amara's scholarship. A discreet word to the hospital administration about Letitia's work ethic had put her application at the top of the pile. There's more, Letitia continued. Remember that theater community outreach program I mentioned? The one starting in our neighborhood? The one you said I should volunteer for once I'm more experienced? Well, Letitia smiled. They need parent coordinators too. I start next month. As they talked, a black SUV pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down, revealing Denzel Washington. How's my favorite rising star? He called out. Mr. Washington. Amara rushed over, Letitia following. I was in the neighborhood for a meeting and thought I'd check in, he said casually, though they all knew Lincoln Center wasn't exactly on the way to anywhere. Ms. Reynolds sends me updates. Says you're one of the most dedicated students she's ever taught. Thank you for checking on her, Letitia said, emotion thick in her voice. Actually, Denzel replied, I came with news. They're casting for a small independent film, a drama about a community center in Harlem. There's a role that would be perfect for Amara, a supporting character, but with some powerful scenes. Amara's eyes widened. A real film, he confirmed. With your mother's permission, of course. It shoots this summer, so it won't interfere with school. Of course she has my permission, Letitia said, as long as she keeps up with her studies. One more thing, Denzel added, handing Letitia an envelope. Opening night tickets. My new Broadway show in September. No car trouble this time. My driver will pick you up. As his SUV pulled away, Amara turned to her mother, eyes shining. "Do you remember that night in the rain? When everything seemed to be falling apart?" Letitia nodded, remembering the desperation, the broken-down car, the rejection at the theater door. "I was so scared you'd be disappointed in me," Amara continued, "for making you spend all that money on tickets we couldn't use." "Disappointed? Never," Letitia said firmly. "That night taught us both something important. Sometimes when things seem darkest, that's exactly when the light finds a way in." Later that evening, as Letitia helped her younger children with homework at their kitchen table, something she rarely had time for before, her phone buzzed with a text from Amara, who was in her bedroom practicing lines. "Mom, I just realized something. That night wasn't about meeting Denzel. It was about watching you never give up on me. That's the real reason I'm going to make it. Because I learned from the best. Love you." Letitia read the message 3 times, tears blurring her vision. Outside their apartment window, the New York skyline glittered against the night sky. The same city that had once seemed so indifferent to their struggles now looked like a canvas of possibilities. She texted back a simple reply. "We're just getting started, baby. The best is yet to come." Placing her phone down, Letitia helped Zoe with her math problem while Marcus colored beside them. The apartment was modest, but filled with something that hadn't been there 6 months ago. A palpable sense of hope, not just for Amara, but for all of them. Sometimes, Letitia thought, the greatest acts of kindness don't just change a moment. They change the entire trajectory of lives. And sometimes, the rain that threatens to drown you is exactly what you need to help you grow.